Nintendo just unloaded a ton of new footage in the latest Nintendo Direct, and among it was a brand new trailer for Super Mario 3D World. So we're going to do what we do best and rev up the old analysis machine to see what secrets the footage, as well as everything else we've learned about the game, might be hiding. But before we start, please make sure to check out our previous analysis if you haven't already, as we'll only be covering the new stuff here. You'll find a link to it in the description below. And with that, let's get started. So right off the bat, we get our first look at the game's opening cutscene, which takes place on a star-filled night in front of Peach's castle. And based on the fireworks, including some special star-shaped ones, we're guessing there's some kind of celebration going on. Is it related to the meteor shower happening in the background? Anyway, the festivities are cut short when Mario and the gang stumble upon a mysterious clear pipe, from which a pixie-like creature from the aptly named Sprixie Kingdom appears. But it's not long before Bowser kidnaps her, as well as others like her, in order to collect their treasure, causing Mario and company to chase after them through the pipe. And that's all we officially know about the story. But one of the pieces of artwork released for the game might reveal a bit more. Specifically, 6 things more, as we can see the green-haired Sprixie here in the center, surrounded by 6 others, who we're guessing are also royalty based on their crowns. Now we're gonna take a wild stab in the dark and guess that they're the ones who've also been kidnapped by Bowser. And if we assume that you'll be rescuing one of them per world, as suggested by the one we see at the end of World 1's castle in the IGN footage, then that obviously means there are at least 7 worlds in the game. But we're pretty sure there'll be at least one more afterward too, making for the usual 8. Plus there's a strong chance there'll be a special world too. Now speaking of worlds, it seems we'll be accessing them via a world map, which according to Nintendo World Report is made up of at least 7 islands, which you'll visit in a counterclockwise order, which basically confirms there are at least 7 worlds here. Now world maps are nothing new to the Mario games, but this one isn't your typical map, as you can actually roam around it in full 3D. And there's apparently good reason for this, as according to that same preview, there are actually secrets hidden all around it that you'll be able to find. Maybe that hole in the bush there is one of them, but what could be inside? And by the way, don't those bushes look suspiciously like staircases to you? Well, they may just be that, as Mario can in fact jump on the world map now too, though it seems not very high. Now although each level still comes in the form of a small rotating structure similar to 3D Land, we can see that they're now marked with a flag instead of the usual colored dot that used to designate each level. But what exactly do the different colors mean? Well, going off the flagpoles at the end of each level, we can guess that the red ones, such as the 2 shown here, mark a level completed by Mario. And we're guessing that color can change to reflect any of the 3 other playable characters too. Now even though we don't see any here, using the same logic, we're guessing that black flags may be used to mark uncompleted levels. Though it's also possible there won't be any flagpole at all. But what about that gold one there? Well, if it functions like the gold flag icon in Super Mario 3D Land, it may simply mark a level that you managed to grab the very top of that flagpole on. Okay, that's enough about flags, as there's a lot more to cover here. Now as we can see here, when you get close to a level, even more information about it will appear, such as the level's full world number and name, which in this case is World 1-3 Mount Beanpole, as well as how many of the 3 green stars you've collected. Though we're pretty sure the green star visible above each of the flagpoles also serves as an indicator that you found all 3 of them. As for that blue stamp icon, that actually marks a hidden stamp that can now be found in each level, which can then be used to stamp special pictures on your Miiverse messages. Now we can't help but wonder, with the ability to freely roam around the map, does that mean you can visit the levels in any order? Maybe, but it's impossible to tell for sure, as all the levels shown here have already been beaten. So it's possible that the path leading to each one doesn't appear until after you complete the levels preceding it, much like past games. And maybe that restricts which ones you can access. So it could be that even if you can physically walk up to a level, you may not be able to access it until the path extends to it. Or another idea is perhaps the levels come in groups and are sectioned off from one another until you complete the previous group. That might explain the bridge here. What if it doesn't appear until you complete the levels preceding it, being 1-1 and 1-2, allowing access to 1-3 and beyond? And speaking of level numbers, we also know from the E3 demo that the Sea Serpent level here is 1-5, making the one below 1-4. And since Bowser's Castle is up next, it appears that there are 6 levels in total for this world, which was a typical amount in Super Mario 3D Land, except for the first world, which had 1 fewer level than most of the others. So if this game follows the same pattern, later worlds here may actually feature more than just 6 levels. Now let's talk about the castle here for a second, which is clearly Bowser's based on the face on the gate, as well as confirmed by some early previews. But doesn't that gate make it seem as if the level may be inaccessible? Which is odd, since all the levels that we can see preceding it are completed. So shouldn't Mario be able to get to it? Maybe there's some sort of special condition you have to complete in order to open the way. Or if you actually can tackle the levels in any order, maybe the earlier ones that we can't see haven't yet been completed? And then again, maybe the level's already been beaten, as suggested by the path that extends past it. Maybe the gate just prevents you from re-entering. Or maybe the gate's just for decoration. We really have no idea. Now outside the 6 main levels here, there are actually several other points of interest on the map, such as the Toad House in the upper left corner here, which we're guessing will supply you with a power-up just like in 3D Land. Then there's a Charge and Chuck just chilling on the world map, which we're guessing activates a battle stage, like the world map enemies in New Super Mario Bros. U. But the question is, do they roam around the map like the enemies in that game? Or is he a permanent fixture that you're forced to take on? The fact that he's sitting down might suggest the latter, particularly as he does appear to be blocking the path to the bridge. Next up, we have the elevated warp pipe here, complete with a headlamp wearing Toad pacing nearby. What's this about? Well, if you watched our first analysis, you might remember the small, seemingly self-contained level where it appears that you control the same headlamp wearing Toad in order to grab 5 green stars scattered around the area. And as we noted then, the ground appeared to be made up of cubes, which actually match the ones on the world map. We're still not sure why he plays this specific Toad though, but as we speculated before, we think his apparent inability to jump will make these levels more puzzle-focused. Something else that we noticed about the world map is how it seems each world made here closer to actual themes this time around than Super Mario 3D Land did. So of course, World 1 here appears to be the usual grassy hills area, whereas World 2, according to an IGN preview, would be desert. But beyond that, we're really not sure what else might lie ahead, but it seems the usual snow and lava world themes are a safe bet. And that's enough about the worlds themselves for now, so let's take a look at some of the new gameplay revelations, starting with the power-ups. Now we already knew that mushrooms, fire flowers, stars, and the Tanuki suit were all back, but it seems that everything from Super Mario 3D Land is actually here too, such as the boomerang flower, which still works pretty much in the same way as before. But although the suit itself retains its trademark blue helmet and shell, the boomerang is red this time around. Well, at least for Mario, so we're guessing the boomerangs are actually color-coded to each of the 4 playable characters. In addition, from what we can tell, it seems that the boomerang may actually travel a little bit farther this time around. But clearly, it's still not immune to lava enemies. Now, although we did see it briefly in the last trailer, we get a better look at the Tanuki suit this time around. But this time, you can now actually perform your tail whip attack while crouching in midair, which is probably unnecessary, but hey, it looks pretty cool. And it looks like it'll give you some additional hang time too, which almost seems like a throwback to Mario 3. Oh, and the flight-enabling propeller block and the money-making coin block are both back too, and they appear to be identical to before. Alright, and that covers it for the returning power-ups, but there are several new ones too, such as cannon boxes, which like the propeller block transforms from an ordinary question block. This baby allows you to fire cannonballs, which can also be charged up to make them even faster. And as we can see here, the explosion from the impact can even take out nearby enemies too. However, it appears the cannonballs don't have an unlimited range, as the first one appears to vanish without hitting anything. Then there's a double cherry power-up, which creates an additional clone for each one that you find. And these clones follow your exact movements, even including using power-ups, but you have to be careful as they'll disappear to take any damage at all. Now, even though these clones follow your exact movements, you can use the environment, such as hills or walls, to separate them, which is key to solving puzzles, such as having multiple switches depressed at the same time. Okay, now although it may not be a power-up proper, the Goomba hat is also brand new, and according to an IGN preview, it serves as a disguise, allowing you to blend in with Bowser's minions and infiltrate their compound. We also get another look at the ice skate, but this time we can see that it's not just confined to the ice, as it can take to the snow too. Beyond just wearable items, there are also new items for Mario to interact with, such as bombs which explode on impact, and several types of sports balls, such as baseballs that can be thrown and soccer ball bombs that can be kicked. Yeah, this latest emphasis on sporting equipment might seem odd, but it could be related to the return of the Charge and Chucks, who use baseballs and footballs in Mario World. Finally, we get a better look at the potted piranha plant they can carry around that we first saw in the E3 demo. And as we can see here, it automatically gobbles up everything in sight, in a manner similar to Yoshi from Mario Galaxy 2. Okay, and that covers it for the items, but the trailer also reveals several brand new enemies too, such as these bird-like creatures that try to slam you when you get close. And it looks like they're protected by a spiked shell on their back, though we wouldn't be surprised if their heads are indeed vulnerable when they're stuck in the ground. Next up are these wind-up toy enemies, which appear to travel in formation. And not only that, but they appear to behave as a unit too, as the 3 and back react at the exact same time that the leader comes under attack, which is something we haven't seen in a Mario game before. And if you watch the clip all the way to the end, we can see the one who lives the longest even breaks rank to try and get away. Then there are a couple of new lava enemies. Well, at least we think this one's new, although it could be an updated form of Blarg from Super Mario World. In fact, if we pause the clip, we can see they even share similarly misshapen eyes. Though these guys do seem like they can jump a lot farther than they could originally. Next up is this lava guy that looks similar to the lava bubbles from past games. But these guys can actually leap out of the lava and onto solid ground. And if you watch the one on the left here, we can see they'll even begin to roll around. Now in this clip, Mario battles them with a boomerang, but it doesn't instantly destroy them like most enemies. Instead, it just pushes them back into the lava, which could mean they'll pop back out soon after. In addition to the brand new enemies, we see even more returning ones too, such as the Thwomps and Big Berthas here. And although we don't see any in the trailer, the artwork confirms that Koopa Troopas will be back too, complete with the ability to kick them out of their shell, which wasn't in 3D Land. So this could mean that Mario might be able to carry the shells again, or perhaps even ride on them, again like Mario 64. As for the other returning enemies, well, they look just slightly different meow, such as this Bullet Bill, complete with a set of cat ears and a tail, although they don't appear to act any differently than before, but maybe they'll claw at you when they get close or something. And the cat references don't end there, as some recent artwork reveals the existence of an adorable cat Goomba. Aww. But he's actually hidden in the trailer too. If you freeze this clip at the very start, we can see him just before he goes off screen. But thanks to IGN's footage, we can see this allows him to glide through the air. But there is one modified enemy here that we can see a clear difference with. Dry Bones, who now comes complete with a new set of wings. In this case, it looks like he's caught up on the wall here, which suggests that these guys may actively pursue Mario instead of following a set path. Then we have a new type of piranha plant that now grows from a hole in the wall, with its body assuming the form of its travel path, creating a rigid barrier. but it looks like these guys will actually fall asleep at points, so maybe you can sneak up on them like in Mario 64. At any rate, it looks like you will be able to attack them directly, at least with fireballs to force them to retreat back into the wall. Alright, and that covers it for the main enemies, but let's check out some of those boss fights now, starting with this one dressed as a knight. And it's pretty obvious he's a boss based on the enclosed arena and the Bowser decorations. Now it looks like one of his primary attacks is to shoot fireballs, so based on his horns, you wouldn't be surprised if he has a charging attack too. In order to defeat him, it looks like you'll first have to roll into him and knock him toward one of the clear pipes along the walls, at which point you'll have to do it again to force him through it. You'll then be squeezed out one of the other ends, causing him to shrink in size and flail around helplessly. And we're guessing this is the part where you jump on them. Next, we can see the Boom Booms are back. And thanks to IGN's footage, we can see they behave much the same as they did in 3D Land, except this one's learned a new trick and occasionally turns invisible. Finally, there's the biggest baddie of them all, Bowser, and it looks like he's got himself a sweet new ride, complete with a crazy face and a Bowser hood ornament. But it's not just for show, as he'll bow to you from atop it while driving forward throughout the fight. Now in IGN's footage, we can see he'll throw soccer balls at you, which you'll have to kick back to destroy his ride. Now, although it'll take 9 of them to get the trick done, Bowser will grow fiercer after every 3, which includes occasionally spitting fireballs your way. Now, the level itself factors in a bit too, with ledges you'll have to jump, gaps you'll have to leap, and some warp boxes you'll have to follow Bowser through. Now, in this specific case, we know that he's a boss of World 1, and as you can see, the Sprixie from the beginning of the game is the one you'll be rescuing first. And since Bowser historically likes sticking to one gimmick throughout his boss fights, does that mean every fight will involve his car in some way? And another thing, we already noted how there's both a Cat Goomba and a Cat Bullet Bill, which is similar to Mario 3D Land, which had Tanuki versions instead. And as you might recall, even Bowser got in on the Tanuki fun then too. So we can't help but wonder if we might be seeing a Cat Bowser pop up at some point too. Wouldn't that be perfect? Okay, that's enough about the enemies, but what about all the levels shown off so far? Well, as it turns out, a lot of them were also featured in the E3 trailer, which we're now able to piece together to give us a better idea of how these levels will play out. So let's start off with the first level we were introduced to at E3, World 2-1. For the most part, it appears to be identical to what we saw before. But there have been a few changes, such as the Mario World style Goomba here replacing some normal ones. And the baseball here is new too. And so is the Mario Switch on the island here, but we're not exactly sure what it does. But we're guessing Mario might be the only one who can activate it. Next up are the desert clips, which we're guessing are found in World 2 due to its known desert theme. Now the first 2 clips here both prominently feature the new bird enemy, so we're guessing these might be from the same level. But another clip later in the trailer appears to take place immediately after this area, as the sandy waterfall and wall texture seem to match up perfectly with the ones here. Moving on, this next scene looks more like a desert level than a strictly desert one, but we wouldn't be surprised if it's part of the same world. And as we can see, the double cherry item will play a role in this level, and it looks like it may make dodging the energy rings here a bit trickier. But perhaps more interestingly is that this area immediately precedes one we saw in the E3 trailer, and we know this because the red and blue platforms here are the same ones visible in the distance of the new scene. Similarly, in this new clip of a snow level, we can tell from the snowman in the distance that this portion actually comes immediately after the scene from the E3 trailer. And as you might have noticed, it looks like you'll find the level's first green star in the nook behind these enemies. Another new scene shows off what may be a different snow level involving the ice skate, and yet again, it matches up with a scene from the first trailer. But we're guessing this new clip comes from earlier in the level, as there's a warp pipe here that you may have to ditch your skate to take. And by the way, did you notice how the snow fell from the tree when Mario knocked the snowball into it? It's small touches like this that really show the developers are going the extra mile. Finally, we have another clip from the Ruins level we first saw at E3, this time showcasing a series of platforms complete with spiked logs that you'll have to cross. Okay, and that covers it for all the levels we've seen before, but the trailer shows off a bunch of new ones too. And let's start with the lava one, since that's what the trailer shows off first. So you probably don't need me to tell you that the lava looks amazing, such as how its texture changes the farther away from the camera it is. It really does look like it'll melt the mustache right off Mario's face. Now, as you might have noticed, the lava here is actually rising. And if we look at another clip from the same trailer, we can see the same things happening there too. So it's very likely both of these are from the same level, particularly as the type of platforms in each of them are identical. So it looks as if the rising tide may force you to keep on the move to avoid being burned. And speaking of moving, in the final lava clip, we can see Mario running through a glass enclosed cube, desperately trying to outrun what appears to be poison gas rushing in from above. This does sort of fit the theme of the rising lava from the previous clip, so could it be part of the same level as well? Oh, and it looks like there's a springboard here too, so maybe Mario will need to reverse course through the structure once the gas dissipates? Moving on, we then have this gigantic grassy plain, which suggests we won't just be seeing small linear areas. And as part of that large area, it looks like you'll have to track down at least the 4 rabbits shown here. And it seems we may have to be in cat form to do so. Now you may have also noticed a clear pipe in the background, but it looks a little different, and we get a better look at a similar one in another clip from what we presume to be the same level. Now although we can't be sure, we think the black bulb on top is actually a cannon, indicating it'll launch you super high. Which makes sense given how high up Mario appears to be in the level right now. We can also see that the ants we noted in the first trailer have a presence here as well. And in this case, we can see they're emerging from a pair of pipes. And what's the significance of them crawling underneath the platform and presumably down to ground level? Maybe there were a problem earlier in the level and you've only just now reached the source? Another pair of clips shows off a very pink looking level, complete with some odd looking hills. And as you can see, the double cherry power-up will play a prominent role here as well. And thanks to a full level playthrough provided by Nintendo, we can see to exactly what extent, as you'll need to use that power to depress both switches later on to reveal a green star. Then we have these clips to showcase another grassy level complete with tall plants that look suspiciously similar to the Super Bell power-up. And based on those plants as well as a few other features, we can tell this is World 1-3 from the world map. And going off of IGN's footage, it looks like it has a few features we haven't seen before, such as moving PAL blocks and gears that can only be rotated while in cat form, which in this case causes a pillar to rise. And in case you're wondering, it leads to a bonus stage. Next up is a look at what could be part of the same ghost house shown in the first trailer, but this time Mario's being chased by a big boo. Oh, and it looks like the ghost has some new tricks this time around too, such as a fake flagpole made of boots. And did you notice the entire thing appears to take place in a graveyard? It's pretty spooky. Another clip shows off a thwomp-filled level that looks like it might take place at night, or maybe it's just a dark interior. And as we pointed out before, the propeller block appears to play a big role here too. Also, do you see that key coin in the background? Well, there's a second one behind it too, so it looks like they'll play a pretty big role here as well. Then there's a Goomba compound we mentioned before that you'll have to infiltrate. But did you notice the doors here are opening as a result of being tapped on the gamepad's touchscreen as indicated by the hand cursor here? But is that the only way to open them? If so, it might suggest that the gamepad's being integrated even deeper into the experience than we first thought. Also, because we didn't mention him during the enemy portion, did you catch the invisible sneaky coin coffer from Mario 3D Land hiding in the corner here? I guess Mario won't be the only one sneaking around this place. Next up is this level that appears to take place at night high above the clouds. And do you see those buildings down below? They look awfully similar to the ones featured in the World 4 boss fight from E3, suggesting this may be a World 4 level. In this case, the path is mostly invisible, only ever appearing immediately around Mario. But it seems it might be able to reveal more temporarily by ground pounding. Although, if we play the clip again in slow motion, we can see the path actually begins to appear before he even touches down, so maybe something else is causing it to appear. Then there's this underwater level that features a cannon box. But it looks like time may play an important factor here too, based on the time extending clocks down below. Also, is that part of a sunken ship there? This next clip shows the level that leads up to the Bowser boss fight, and is filled with thwomps, Goombas, and soccer ball bombs. But did you catch that strange creature swimming way off in the distance? What in the heck is it? Well, we actually get a slightly better look at it in IGN's footage, though it doesn't help much, but we think it looks like some kind of sea serpent. Then we have this underground area filled with fuzzies and the potted piranha plants we noted before, but more interestingly is how big of a role shadows play in this level, with parts of it taking place entirely in shadow form. And thanks to IGN's footage, we can see those segments are accessible via a door. And beyond that, we can see a cool little perspective trick near the end, as the shadows show a poor Toad being terrorized by Bowser. Only it's just a harmless cardboard cutout. And as you probably noticed, that's indeed the same Toad from the world map, who we also spotted in one of the demo levels of the E3, so it looks like he'll pop up all over the place. After that, we have this beach level, which may hint at an entire tropical world being in the game. And check out those inner tubing Goombas. Between that, the cat ones, and the Mario World style ones, it seems they'll be taking all kinds of forms in this game. And did you catch that the inner tubes grow spikes as soon as the Goombas notice your presence? Finally, one of the cooler levels shown off so far appears to be the return of the auto-scrolling tank levels from Mario 3, with this one specifically seemingly serving as a castle level for World 2. And Boom Boom's the boss. And as you can see from the IGN footage, it all starts by being launched from a cannon into the distant battleground. And did you catch this Brixie Kingdom citizen manning the cannon? Between her and the one you found in the Sea Serpent level at E3, it seems they're experts at all forms of transportation. And in the end, it looks like you'll be rescuing the yellow-haired Sprixie for your troubles here. Okay, we're just about done here, but as usual, there's still just a few final details I wanted to point out. And the first one involves the Sprixies I was just talking about. Now, we already know from the footage that the green-haired one can be found in World 1, and the yellow-haired one from World 2. Now, interestingly, those numbers correspond to the numbers found in the file names of the official Sprixies artwork provided by Nintendo. So using those as a guide, this dark blue-haired one would be 3, the orange one 4, the purple one 5, light blue 6, and red is 7. And potentially more interesting is that those hair colors seem like they might reflect the world theme that they're from, with the first one being green for grass, and 2 being yellow for desert. So maybe the dark blue one means World 3 could be based around water, the orange one could reflect a tropical theme for World 4, purple we have no idea about for World 5, the light blue one might mean the ice world could be 6, and the red one would fittingly represent a lava-filled World 7. Yeah, it's a stretch, but it would be an interesting correlation. Now, in our previous analysis, we noted before how the game had some similarities to Super Mario Bros. 2, what with the same cast of playable characters and how the Sprixies looked extremely similar to the citizens of Subcon. And now it seems the connection goes even deeper, like how the new double cherry item looks just like an item from Mario 2, or how the doors featured in the underground area also look just like the ones from that game. And finally, when Mario and the gang first enter this new world, doesn't that background look awfully, I don't know, dreamlike? It could always be a coincidence, but we're pretty sure these references are intentional. Could it hint at even more Mario 2 stuff to be found? Finally, we have this image, which we showed before, that showcases the new collectible stamps. But check out the picture in the lower right corner that seemingly shows an outline of every stamp in the game. Since we know there's one stamp per level, the number of stamps here might actually reveal the total amount of levels in the game. So we added them up! And there are 80 stamps visible here, but the speech bubble at the bottom right is actually covering some more of them, which may mean the actual total is closer to 90. Which means if we were right earlier about there being only about 6 levels per world or so, we're certainly looking at least one secret world World being included here. Okay, I lied, there's still one more thing I want to talk about. This new artwork unveiled by Nintendo has a few hidden details in it, such as the Bullet Bill train on the left here, the horned boss we saw earlier only without his armor, confirmation that bees, bloopers, and Kamek are all back, and finally, check out what's hidden way in the distance here. Yep, that's a Comet Observatory from Super Mario Galaxy, which was made by the same team as this game. Could Rosalina and Loomis be back once again? Phew! And with that, we're done covering everything we could dig up on Super Mario 3D World. And like always, let us know if we missed anything by posting in the comments. If you liked our analysis, please make sure to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at GameXplain. There are even super easy to click links in the description below. Thanks for watching, and make sure to keep an eye on GameXplain.com for more on Super Mario 3D World and other things gaming too.